The sound of cola hitting my daughter's hair ended a marriage people think rich houses are quiet. But the loudest noise in a mansion is a crystal tumbler tipping, and when Sloane Harrington poured it over Ellie, time thickened like syrup, and the whole kitchen forgot how to breathe. My name is Nora Rivera. I clean fingerprints off other people's lives, and I started at the Harrington place in Bayview after my husband passed, and the bills kept marching. It was a museum you could live in if you weren't the one dusting it, marble humming under your shoes, hallways built for secrets, and one rule that paid better than any other: be invisible. On days my sitter fell through, I'd bring Ellie 10 years old, quiet as a cat on a bar stool tracing blue and white china with one finger. I kept my head down because that's how you make it through a shift, when your life is one rent payment from disaster. Sloane drifted in wearing winter like a dress perfume first, then that voice that trims glass to a sharper point. She looked at my child like a smudge I'd missed, took a slow sip like she owned the air, and with a flick you'd use to water a plant, she baptized my kid in soda, ice clicked, Coke ran. My girl didn't cry, and my throat learned the shape of a scream you can't afford to make. I pulled Ellie in and used my sweater to wipe her lashes, because I wasn't turning my back for a towel. Sloane set the empty glass down like a trophy, and turned with that small smile mean people save for moments they think no one will remember. And that's when I saw him in the doorway. Cole Harrington, the quiet kind of rich that glows instead of sparkles, tie loose jaw. Tight, he crossed the tile without asking anyone's permission. He took a handkerchief from his pocket and dabbed Ellie's cheeks like her skin might bruise. "You okay, kiddo?" he asked, and she nodded, "because she's braver than me." Then he looked at me and his voice changed. "Ms. Rivera, please take your daughter upstairs, second guest room on the left, pale blue dress on the bed. It will fit when you're ready. Join us in the ballroom." I said we should just go, he said. As my guests, and then to the room like the walls were listening. "Someone get Mrs. Harrington a glass of water. She seems dehydrated." Walking my sticky child through that house felt like carrying a candle through a cathedral. The guest bath was bigger than our living room. I washed soda out of Ellie's hair while she tried to make me laugh. "You think cola counts as conditioner, Mom?" And the drain swallowed our afternoon. The dress fit like fate, sky blue, and soft, a bow that made her stand a little taller. The ballroom was already humming. Strings in a corner, laughter fizzing at the edges. And Cole didn't tuck us in the shadows. He set us by the terrace where the glass looked like water, sparkling cider for the young lady. He said then he took the stage and instead of numbers, he talked about kids and luck and the way you treat people when you think no one important is watching, he said. Ellie's name and asked if she'd join him, and the room proved a fact about courage I keep relearning. Sometimes it's just a kid choosing not to hide. Ellie climbed the steps, the applause rolled like a warm wind, Sloane smiled with every tooth, and for one long minute I felt tall, not because of the lights, but because my child could stand under them and still be herself. We went home quiet, Ellie asleep on my shoulder, and in the morning a number I didn't know called. "Don't come in today," Cole said. "Take the week, we'll talk soon." At 10, the driver, Mr. Whitaker, delivered a plain box he handled like it might jump inside was a note, a check too large to say out loud, a new phone and laptop still in plastic, and a framed photo that knocked my breath sideways. Two young guys in safety vests, one of them Cole with a bad haircut, the other my father Miguel, arms slung around Cole like brothers on lunch break. On the back, someone had written Harbor Point, the day Miguel yanked me off a busted mezzanine, and the world made a different kind of sense. My dad told that story. He never said the kid's name, debts. Like that don't evaporate. They orbit until something pulls them home. By lunch, the storm hit gossip sites and business blogs. Strangers suddenly experts in my life soft spot, billionaire Maid's night out. Then the uglier names, gold digger social climb. Yeah, that happened. I looked at my child drawing a sun and thought, if dignity has a price, bill me. At 2 o'clock came a knock that sounded like a verdict. A man and a woman in dark suits, badges up, Child Protective Services, she said. Anonymous report. There's a cold that starts in your chest and climbs your ribs like a ladder. They walked my kitchen like surveyors opened the fridge, tapped cabinets, asked Ellie. Those soft knife questions, where do you sleep? Does mommy leave you alone? Do you feel safe? My hands held steady because they were tired of shaking. My new phone buzzed. Put me on speaker, Cole said, and his voice filled the room without being loud. To the two people pretending to be CPS. I'm on with the actual director they sent, no one. The police are on their way. Your agency owner is explaining himself in my office. You have 60 seconds to leave. The man went pale under his tan. The woman's mouth opened, then forgot what to say. The door shut fast, and my legs finally remembered how to sit. Ellie handed me a tissue, and we laughed and cried at the same time like two people who'd set down a weight we didn't know we were carrying. The next day, my neighbor Mrs. Jenkins brought a pie and said, "Don't read the comments," I told her. I was done reading them, then Cole's friend, the lawyer with the quiet eyes, Grant Patel, called to say Sloane's stepbrother Pierce had yanked the emergency cord and dragged the Harrington Capital Board into a meeting to push Cole aside erratic behavior unfit to lead PR risk. The classic costume for a power grab. Boardrooms aren't usually exciting, but this one, by every retelling, was a storm behind glass. Pierce did the concerned tone, we just want stability, while sharpening a knife with his smile. Then Cole stood, pressed a button, and the first slide was that old photo of him and my father. He told them about the hot warehouse, the wobbly mezzanine, the hand that grabbed him back into the rest of his life. I owe that family a debt, he said. It's not charity, it's a balance due. Click, and the kitchen camera showed Sloane tilting a glass, while my child braced and my body moved. The room went quiet. In that expensive way, you could hear the soft whir of the ventilation, Cole said. You can fire me if what you really want is a company that values optics over people, but you'll have to put that in writing and sign it where your grandkids can read it. Hands went up against Pierce like they remembered their own mothers, and the motion to sideline Cole died without a chair to sit on. That night, there was no victory lap, no champagne, just a sentence the staff repeated until it felt carved into the marble. I didn't make you the villain, Sloane. I turned on the lights after that. The lawyers did their ballet with paper. A quiet settlement landed with half the noise and twice the weight, and Sloane left the city for a while because people like her don't disappear, they relocate. In the quiet that followed, Cole set up a fund in my father's name. Not a velvet rope thing, but a real one that keeps service workers from free-falling. When one bad Tuesday cuts the rope, he asked me to help run it, because I know where the floor gives way, paid me like the work matters, called it. Back pay for me, for Miguel, maybe for the kid he used to be. And Ellie, she goes to a school where the cafeteria looks like a catalog. But she still brings me dandelions and calls them museum pieces. She saves the bow from the blue dress in a shoebox. She named the museum, too. People ask if Cole is a hero. I say he's a man who remembered himself. In time to be useful, money solves almost nothing, and almost everything, depending on whether you spend it on mirrors or bridges. And lately, he's buying bridges, you know what I mean. But the world doesn't reset because one rich person finds a spine. There are still folks who say he used us to look human, folks who swear. I ran a long con with a pretty dress and a sad story. Conspiracies are easier to swallow than simple truths, and the simple truth is this. I went to work, kept my head down, and someone poured a drink on my child, because power can make you forget gravity. Another person with more power decided gravity still wins. That's not a fairy tale, that's a room learning the shape of itself when someone flips the switch. So I'll leave you in the question, was he right to flip the lights in front of everyone? Or should he have kept it quiet and handled it in a back room, where reputations heal in the dark? If it were your child, your job, your rent due, and your dignity on the floor. What would you have wanted? Tell me where you stand, what you've lived, what you've seen in kitchens and boardrooms and school hallways. Drop your story in the comments. Hit. Like if you believe respect shouldn't depend on your address or your paycheck, subscribe. If you want more real voices telling hard truths, and tell me this. Where do you draw the line between calling it out and calling it in? I read every one because the answers change how the next house behaves.